Hey guys, so I think I'm live. This is my very first live video, so you may have to kind of bear with me as I try and figure it all out. But I was sitting at home today and I was thinking through these ideas of how you, as a parent or a guardian, could reinforce the things that your child is learning, probably learning in their classroom at preschool. And so I was just going to share a few of my ideas with you. And this is by no means an exhaustive amount of ideas. This is just a few of the ideas that I came up with. And so, if you have any ideas along these lines or just any other ideas you'd love to share, I would love to hear what they are and we can share them with everyone here watching. Okay. So, I'm just going to run through a few of the things that I focused on in my preschool classroom and that um, I would sometimes approach parents and ask them to help their child practice at home to just make them stronger in that skill. Okay, so the first one, and this is one that I know is hard to practice at home because it can be a little scary, but it is scissor cutting practice. This is so great for fine motor skills and just a skill that they are going to want to know or want or be able to use through all their schooling. And so this is something that is important for them to learn, and we did practice it, and at least in my classroom we did practice it, but it is something that I think sometimes gets kind of pushed to the side because it is a little harder. You do have to pay attention to the kids very closely when they're doing scissor cutting practice. So, an easy way to start with scissor cutting practice and to work on those fine motor skills is to start by just tearing paper. This is going to help with fine motor skills of twisting, and it is kind of amazing when you start doing this to see this skill that we don't really practice a whole lot, and that is so important for those kids to learn. And so I just would start with just simple paper tearing. And the kids love this. They have a great time with it. And it's easy to just throw a bunch of paper on the table, let them do it. It does get a little messy with all the little paper pieces, um, but it is a great way to start practicing that scissor cutting skill. And then I would graduate to something a little harder. I would just take a piece of paper, draw some lines on it, and then I would let them cut those straight lines. Okay. And of course, use safety scissors with this, especially when they're beginners. Um, I did this with my threes and fours when I taught. Um, I did not do it with my 2-year-olds. That's something that you would have to kind of evaluate for yourself, and decide whether or not you would want to do that. But I think that it is a great skill for those 3 and 4-year-olds to start really practicing. Once they have kind of mastered or really practiced those straight lines, you can make those lines a little more curved. You can go online and find all kinds of resources for scissor cutting. And I'm pretty sure there are a lot of free resources as well that have patterns already cut out that you can use to practice that scissor cutting skill. Okay. And so that is really helpful for them to learn and practice not only at school, but also at home. Because as you know, at school, we are very limited on time. And so we can practice a little bit, but we really would want those skills reinforced at home as well. Okay. And I'm looking down at my notes. So sorry about that. But the next one would be kind of along with that, would be those fine motor skills. The fine motor skills are things that can be practiced pretty much at any time of the day. It just takes a little bit, maybe a prep or preparing something real quick that you can pull together. But these skills are really great for your pre-handwriting practice. Okay, so they may not be ready for a lot of handwriting practice where they're going to be holding a pencil and trying to practice those letters. But these types of skills are going to really um, get them ready for that. And so this is something that you can do by just using things around your house. Okay. So some ideas that I had were to put washi tape or painter's tape on your table in all different directions. Just put it all over the table, stick it down, and let the kids practice peeling that tape up. Okay. So this is something that kids really love to do. And once it's down, your work is done because they're going to do all the work of peeling it up and then you just throw it away when you're done. So that's a great fine motor practice. Another one is if you have any kind of tongs, you can use them to pick up things like cotton balls or soft items or even hard items really, if it'll work, and move them from one bowl to the next. You could do this and make it a game by seeing how fast they could do it. Or you could just have them sort by color, even, and let them put different colors in different bowls. Any way that you do this, it's going to practice those fine motor skills. If you don't have any tongs or anything like that, you could even try it with clothespins. Sometimes the clothespins are a little hard when you're beginning those fine motor skills because they have to build up those hand muscles. And so it's something that you can definitely practice. Um, I would at least let them try it, but then if they can't do that, you might find some tongs or something that are a little easier to pinch in the beginning and then move up to the clothespins if you can. Okay. Um, Another one is just zipping zippers. So they may not be able to start the zipper, but that's definitely something you can practice. But I would just let them practice zipping those zippers and let them try to get that zipper started. Because that's another skill when you're at school, and teachers are trying to zip coats and get everything, all the kids ready to go outside on a cold day. That is very, very helpful for the teacher to have those kids who can do that themselves. So that's great, actually, not only for fine motor, but also for gross motor if they can get that jacket on and off by themselves. Okay, so that's some great, easy thing to practice at home. Just anytime you're running somewhere and you want to put a coat on because it's cold. Great way to practice fine and gross motor. And it's independence for them as well. So it just helps them be more independent. Okay. Another thing is to practice those buttons. So anytime they're wearing clothes with buttons, let them try and do those buttons. They probably won't be able to do them, especially when they're younger, but the more and more they practice, they'll be able to do it. And if you wanted to practice just doing buttons, you could put a piece of clothing on the table or just lay it on the floor and let them just button the clothes that no one's wearing and let them practice those fine motor skills. Okay. So that's another thing you can do at home. And again, there are a lot of ways to do this. You can Google activities for fine motor skills. I have a lot on my channel as well, a lot of ideas that you can use. And so just practicing those are going to help them with a lot of things at school and those pre-handwriting skills as well. Okay. Gross motor skills. This is actually probably one of the easiest things to incorporate into your daily life because you could do this. You could do things with gross motor skills pretty much anywhere. And the easiest one is to just go to the park and play. Let them practice those jumping, running, climbing, hanging, all those skills that will just strengthen their muscles and practice those gross motor skills. Okay. Another thing is just playing ball or frisbee with them, helping them learn that eye contact with the ball skill and letting them try and catch that. And obviously, they'll probably not do a great job in the beginning, but the more and more you do it, the better they will get at that skill. Another one I mentioned before, just putting your clothes on, putting their own jackets on. This is great for gross motor, and again, it helps them be more independent. Okay. And then another fun one is if it is warm enough outside to grab some chalk, go to your sidewalk, and kind of make a little obstacle course for them on the sidewalk where they have to stop at different locations and do a certain gross motor skill, like jump 5 times, maybe spin around, run from one line to the next. You can make it as long or short as you want. Have them just keep going over it. See if they can do it in a certain amount of time. Just make it fun and practice those gross motor skills. Okay. If you want to practice maybe the more academic side of of their learning, maybe their alphabet or numbers or things like that. Those are things that you can do just throughout your daily life. You can easily make some little flashcards from index cards with the letters and the numbers on them. I would throw them in my purse and just have them with me all the time or in the diaper bag. And if you're sitting in a car, maybe in a car line waiting to pick up a child, um, just at the grocery store, anywhere, you can pull those out and ask them their names, the sounds of those letters. You can focus on one a day, different ones. I mean, there's a ton of ways you can do that, that you can practice um, the recognition of those letters and numbers. Okay. Another thing that I loved doing in my class for each of the letters we were learning, we would line up, get ready to leave the class, and maybe before the end of the day, we would go out and we would walk the building and see if there were any letters that we could find. So, not just any letter though, but we would look for the specific letter that we were learning that day. Okay, so if we were on the letter T, we would go around and look for signs that had that letter in it. And the kids would get really excited about this and start yelling and pointing out the letter that we were working on. And that really helps them with that recognition of that letter, helps that solidify in their brain so that they can remember the names of those letters. And of course, you can throw practice of the sound in there as well. Um, let's see. Another one, it would be to practice numbers, you could easily go on a nature hike and collect items in nature and then come back to your house or wherever you are and put all the nature items out and have them count them to practice counting. Okay. And this doesn't have to be something that you have to do outside. You could also do this just with items in your home. You could collect items and have them count them. Another way to make it maybe a little more fun for them would be to have a number hunt, I guess you could call it, where you would say, "Go find me 5 toys," and they have to go and try and find the correct number of toys that you've set. You could even make it a little harder, throw in some colors and say, "Help, go find me 3 blue toys." If it's really easy for them, say, "Go find me 3 blue toys and 2 green toys." Throw in more of those directions that help them practice those 1 and 2 step direction following. Okay. So, one thing that I really like to work on in class is just following directions and listening to what I was saying and doing the worksheet or the activity by following the directions they were hearing. Okay, so this is a great way to reinforce that and practice your numbers. Okay, so you're going to first start by giving just one direction where you say, "I would like you to go find 5 toys." Okay, so keep it very short, simple, and then if they get that and they want to do something a little harder, or you feel like they need something harder, go ahead and add those 2 3 step directions. Say, "Go find me 5 toys and then go put them in this bucket," or "Go find me 5 toys that are green and 2 that are yellow." Okay, so adding those different direction steps and making it a little harder. And then hopefully you'll be able to see them even getting good at that. And then you can move to even harder directions. Okay. And just make it fun, make it a game to where that they can practice those direction following skills. Okay, so I kind of got sidetracked on that one a little bit. But back to numbers, and under that, kind of under math and numbers, one thing that you may want to practice is patterning. Putting things in patterns and seeing if they can complete a pattern. Okay, so for this, I would just use things I have around my home. Okay, and I would use things like maybe even goldfish that you have in the cabinet. If you have like the rainbow colored goldfish, you could put them in patterns of different colors and see if they can continue the pattern. Okay. Hi, Jackie. How are you? Definitely. So she says, "You're right. I'm definitely for holistic development activities. Thanks." Jackie, if you're in the childcare area, what is one thing that you would love to see parents working on at home so that they are kind of reinforcing that for you in the classroom. If you have something, let me know. But um, so patterning can be done with any objects around your home. And this is a skill that I think sometimes gets forgotten, but they are able to really just kind of grasp this skill and they do very well with it. And so I just start with simple patterns to begin with, like maybe red, green, red, green, red, green, and see if they can follow that. Then I might make it a little harder where I put 3 colors in it, or repeating colors where it might be green, green, red, green, green, red, and just see if they can follow that pattern. And if you do it with goldfish or something fun like that, then they get to eat their activity as well, which is kind of fun for them. Okay, so that is kind of what I have on numbers. And like I said, there are tons of activities that you could just Google and find other activities and ideas that reinforce these skills. Okay, um, another one, the probably the last one I kind of want to mention today is that social emotional um, skill that we honestly, or I honestly feel like is probably one of the most important things that I would work on with the kids when they were in the classroom, even more so than the academics. I wanted them to be able to come to a situation, maybe it's a conflict or something like that, and be able to solve that problem. Now, of course, I was always there in case they needed help from me to help solve that, but I also wanted to model um, what a good conflict solving strategy would be for them. And so whenever there was a problem in the classroom, I took the time. I wanted to take the time if I didn't, but I would try to take the time to let them kind of resolve it by leading them with questions like asking what the problem was and then having them talk to the other child themselves instead of me doing it all the time, and letting them try and solve the problem with me there, and talking to each other and giving them the words to say to each other, because sometimes they don't even know what to say, and so you have to give them those words to say, like um like even just asking if they could play with a toy after the other child was done with it. And most of the time, when you step into these situations and you kind of lead them and guide them in that, then you will see that that they solve that problem really quickly, and both kids are happy and they move on. And it's just modeling that social behavior that you want to see. Okay, and so this is something that I would practice just at home all the time. Okay. So even if it is practicing it with you as the parent or the guardian, um, and just anytime a conflict arises, not necessarily stepping in and solving the problem, but helping them to work through it by giving them options and words that they need to help solve that problem. And that could be um, with siblings or with you, and just helping them work through that. Hi Cindy, how are you today? I hope you guys all are having a great Saturday. Where I am, the weather is wonderful. I love spring, so I hope you guys are having a great Saturday as well. But anyway, so the social emotional skills are honestly one of the most important things I think that I worked on, and I worked on it every single day in the classroom anytime a conflict came up. But instead of just solving the problem for the child, step in and help them to solve it themselves. Okay, and not everything can obviously be solved just just for them, but if you can, give them the words to say to the other students, to help them solve those problems, and do it in a good way. Instead of just reacting to the situation, they can actually think through it and use words to help them solve that problem. Okay. So anyway, those are my ideas kind of on things that you can work on at home, some skills that um, you might be able to reinforce for the classroom as well. Cindy says it's freezing and we had snow earlier today. Oh, so I love snow. I used to live where we would get a lot of snow, and I do miss the snow, but I don't miss the cold weather. So that is kind of hard to have the snow without the cold weather, but I do probably prefer the warmer weather, so I'm thankful that it doesn't snow where I am a whole lot. But some people love it, and I love the look of it, but just the cold is not my favorite. But anyway, so thanks guys for joining me today and just hearing my thoughts on this. If you guys have any ideas on how you would maybe reinforce some of these skills at home, I would love to know what they are. Leave me a comment so that we can share them with everyone. And again, thanks for joining me today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.